From coaching at the highest levels of collegiate equestrian sport to founding Athletic Equestrian, today's guest has dedicated her life to educating and inspiring riders. Sally Batton is a name synonymous with excellence in equestrian coaching, and I am thrilled to have her join us today on the Backyard Horse Enthusiast. With nearly 3 decades as the head coach of Dartmouth College's varsity equestrian team, Sally has shaped countless riders and helped redefine what it means to be a well-rounded equestrian athlete. Now, through Athletic Equestrian, she's continuing her mission to develop skilled, confident riders by emphasizing both mental and physical strength in the sport. Today, we're diving into her journey, her coaching philosophies, and her advice for equestrians who want to take their riding to the next level. Whether you're an aspiring collegiate rider, a competitive athlete, or just passionate about the sport, then this conversation is packed with wisdom you won't want to miss. So get comfortable, hit that like button, and make sure you're subscribed for more incredible interviews with top equestrian professionals. But first, here's a quick message from our sponsor, Shagbark Lumber and Farm in East Haddam, Connecticut. At Shagbark Lumber and Feed, they've got everything your horse needs to thrive, from high-quality grain and fresh hay to soft shavings and premium supplements. They've got you covered. Whether you're stocking up on grooming supplies or searching for the perfect feed, Shagbark is your one-stop shop for all things equine. Trust them to keep your horses happy and healthy, just like I do for my Dakota. Visit Shagbark Lumber and Feed today and experience the difference for yourself. Hey, Sally.
Hello. Nice
Oh
to
my,
meet you, and thanks for having me on.
thank you so much for being on the Backyard Horse Enthusiast. I know our viewers are going to be so excited to hear more about you and your journey in equine. I know I am.
Great.
All right. And without further ado, I'm going to go ahead and dive right into my questions that I have for you. Here we
Okay.
go. You spent nearly 3 decades as the head coach of Dartmouth's varsity equestrian team. Holy cow. What was the most rewarding part of coaching at the collegiate level, and what do you miss most about it?
Oh boy, that's a great question. I loved the students. I loved the interaction with the students. And I actually loved that every 4 years, every year that changed over, right? So it wasn't the same group all the time. Um, and I just really enjoyed hopefully being a mentor for them and also sharing my love of horses with them because of the nature of the IHSA, the Intercollegiate Horse Shows Association. They have everything from beginners up to open. So I had riders on my team that had never been on a horse before, and that's really one of my favorite groups are those beginners. The thing I miss is probably the competition. I'm a very competitive person. As anyone that knows, my family won't play Monopoly with me at Christmas. So um, that's what I miss the most.
Oh, wow. Oh, my goodness. Athletic Equestrian has become a fantastic platform for rider education. What inspired you to create it, and how does it differ from traditional equestrian coaching?
Sure. So It actually started back in 2010 while I was still coaching at Dartmouth. And I started a riding league called the Athletic Equestrian League. It's for first to 12th graders and adults. We have first to third graders that are like a development division. They're called the minis. And there's the team divisions, which are fourth to 12th grade. And then we also have adults at all the levels. So there's everything beginner, advanced beginner, novice, intermediate, open. And through all the years in my coaching career, the IHSA, my riders competed in hunter seat equitation. And the nature of equitation showing is that it's very subjective, right? So you go to a horse show, the riders are put in a section of 6 to 8 riders, and the hunter seat equitation judges rank them against each other. So the one who has the best position and horsemanship and all of that gets first, and then if you get a wrong diagonal or lead, that puts you down, and they're judged against each other. I wanted to come up with a scoring system that was more objective. So the riders in the AEL, which is the Athletic Equestrian League, are judged 40% flat, 40% fences or ground poles, and 20% unmounted practicum. So there's a big horsemanship portion that's taken from the CHA manual. And that's what basically I just listened to coaches and parents. Parents didn't want to be sitting there for 8 hours and watch their kid for 5 minutes in the morning and 5 minutes at night or in the afternoon. So our riders ride the same horse. They do flat, fences, practicum, boom, they're done. They get a score sheet with their scores. They get judges' comments that they get to take home. So that's how Athletic Equestrian started and the AEL, Athletic Equestrian League. But since then, it has turned into a whole thing, right? There is, I'm a clinician, I'm a traveling clinician since I retired from Dartmouth. I have a podcast on riding in college. I've written 3 books now, two published by Horse and Rider Books, one back in the day on polo cross, which is lacrosse on horseback. And I'm currently working on my first novel. So I do a little bit of everything. Oh, and I also go to trade shows. Like I was just at Horse World Expo in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. And
Yep.
I'm a clinician there. Plus, I have a booth selling things. And I have my own logo, and I sell, sweatshirts and jackets and stuff like that. There's probably
Oh
more,
my
but
goodness.
that's what I'm thinking of right now.
So, so really, you retired from Dartmouth, sort of not, you retired from there, but my goodness, your life is so full. This
Right,
is
right.
really a passion.
I retired from there so that I could do all this other stuff that I've wanted to do all my life.
Oh my gosh, and aren't we lucky to have you? And to our viewers, if you are interested in anything that Sally has to offer, just go ahead and scan that QR code that's floating around the screen, and that will take you out to her information and will get you everything that you are currently interested in, which is everything. That's me. I'm like, which book do I want to be the first person to interview you when your book, your novel gets published.
Okay.
Please, please.
Okay.
Oh my
Will do.
gosh.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh, yay. I need to get that in writing, Sally.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. I love um will this have anything? Is it a memoir? What is this novel going to
It's
be
it's
about?
it's not a memoir. I was just in Ireland. I've been to Ireland 3 times, and something about that place has just really piqued my interest and the Connemara ponies. So my main character is works at a horse magazine in Boston, and she travels to Ireland and writes about the Connemara ponies and meets the people and experiences something magical, which I will not say right now. And it's really a full journey for her.
Oh my goodness. How far along are you in this process?
Well, I have all the ideas
Hmm.
pretty much fleshed out. I've written maybe 5,000 words, so not a ton, but I'm really kind of what I say is I can't my imagination about this magical event, I can't wait to get to it. So I'm slogging through all the background in order to get
Just get to the good stuff.
yes, yes.
Oh my
But
gosh.
I can, let's go on to a couple other questions, and I'll read you just a couple sentences
Okay.
um, from the book so that you I just found it that quick.
Oh, do it. Read it.
It's just two sentences. Uh, she is the main character. I'm not going to say her name. I don't want to give away too much.
Yeah.
She never felt separated from the earth like city kids do when the soil is separated from the people by concrete and machines. She climbed trees and felt the pulse of the roots and listened to the seasons of the forest and the crops growing in the fields.
Mm. Mm,
So
mm, mm.
all of us that are horse people know what that's all about.
Gosh, yes. Oh my goodness. Well, I'm so very excited to get my hands on this book. You can write it instead of sleeping since you have so
Yeah,
many
there
other
we
things
go.
going on.
There we go.
Sleep, it's overrated. Oh my gosh. Okay. This has become one of my newest passions is reading books from equine professionals, whether they're
Nice.
clinicians,
Yeah,
trainers, healers. Honestly, because I find that individuals that have that kind of connection with these amazing, amazing animals have a really beautiful, moving connection to life. And
yeah,
I find their work to be just captivating. And
yeah.
they're the
And
kind of books like,
inspiring, right?
yes,
Yeah.
yes. And they're the books I read them and I'm upset when I get to the last chapter.
I love it.
And I try to draw it out like just read 2 pages and then tomorrow morning with coffee you can read two more. So,
Right.
oh, I'm really excited. Thank you for that, Sally.
Yeah.
College writing, not writing, is unique compared to other equestrian disciplines. What advice do you have for young riders who aspire to compete in collegiate equestrian programs?
Well, my first piece of advice is always listen to my Athletic Equestrian Riding in College podcast because there really aren't many places. There are a few places where all the information's in one place, but I have over 175 episodes. I've interviewed over 4 years collegiate coaches, riders, organizations. I've started talking about equine careers. So uh, listen, start kind of figuring out what area of the country or what school you might like to go to, and then listen to the podcast, find out about all the different possibilities. The beauty of riding in the IHSA, well, basically any of the collegiate riding organizations except for collegiate eventing, you go and you ride the host school's horses, right? So it saves on that expense of trailering your horses and getting to the events. And so those of you that ride a lot of different horses all the time, whether it's school horses or friends' horses, that's really my biggest piece of advice is ride a lot of different horses so that you're ready for the quote unquote catch riding format
Mhm.
of collegiate riding. And I always say too, make sure you pick the school first and the team second. What's most important is your degree and what you're going to be majoring in and how that school is going to prepare you for the future. So then among all the schools that you get into, then because you've done your homework, you can research which team you like the best and then choose from there.
Solid advice. Love that. Over the years, how have you seen the sport of collegiate equestrian evolve? Are there any major changes you'd like to see in the future?
Oh boy, nobody has ever asked me that. That is a good one. I guess the the major change was when the like I said, there's the IHSA. There's a common misconception that the NCEA, which is kind of like the NCAA arm sort of collegiate riding, it's called the National Collegiate Equestrian Association. People think that that's varsity and that the IHSA is club, but that's not true at all. In the IHSA, there are over 400 colleges and universities, around 8 or 9,000 riders, and there's a mix of both club and varsity teams. The NCEA, and as I already said, they're everything from walk trot up to open. The NCEA are only what we think of as those elite riders, right? So
Mhm.
the Hunter Seat, Medal McClay kids, the Western top horsemanship kids. And so I would say that that's the biggest change was the addition of that organization. And here's the great thing. All it means is more riding opportunities for our youth riders, right? The more organizations are, the better it is. You just to get recruited by an NCEA school, you most likely need to be spending a lot of money doing open shows, so that you get into the ribbons and are on their radar. The IHSA, depending on the team, anybody can try out, and it has all these different levels. So you just need to find which organization fits you best. Now, what was the question about what would I like to see happen?
What changes would you like to see?
Um, hmm, yeah, I can't really think of any. I guess the top event that has happened was after COVID, a lot of these smaller schools have actually closed. So, and school horses in general are going up and up in price, right? Those days of a $2,500 sound horse have kind of left us. So I guess what I would like, this is really pipe dream, but for horses to get more affordable, both for the
Yeah.
backyard rider, but also for these schools so that they can keep providing. A lot of them accept donations, so the horses are tax deductible for the people that donate them. So I guess that's my only kind of great wish is that schools could have more horses for their students to learn on.
Ah, well, we've just put that out to the universe. Now we shall
Yeah,
manifest that.
there you go.
Absolutely. Mental toughness is a huge part of being a competitive rider. What strategies do you teach riders to help them manage pressure and stay confident in high stake environments?
That is a great one. So my first book, The Athletic Equestrian, uh, basically contains all the things that I taught riders through my years coaching. Not only their position technique, but fitness tips, and part of that are Coach Sally's top 10 teaching tips. And one of those is mental toughness. I want the riders to go through my athletic equestrian system, working on the fundamentals and the building blocks as they go along, so that each practice we could move on to the next thing, or maybe we could reinforce the last thing, whatever it is. And that sounds obvious, like that's how we learn, right? You start, take baby steps, and then you learn more. But I always talked about mental toughness, that if I teach you something such as I always want the extra reins to the outside, I always want your crop in your outside hand, all those little things, I want you to remember them so you're not making the same the same mistake over and over. And some of them were just my personal preference, but some of them, getting the correct diagonal, getting the correct lead, those are fundamental to any equitation horse showing where your position matters. And I always told my team, why work so hard all week in practice and go to the horse show and get a wrong diagonal and not even be looked at by the judge because you're right to the bottom of the placings. So after the first week or two of practices, if my riders got a wrong diagonal or a wrong lead, they had to get off and give me crunches. And it wasn't as a punishment. It was to make them mindful
Right.
and remember that that's what they have to do. And
Sure.
it was really funny. Eventually, the team would get to a point where I'd be focusing on somebody at one end, and all of a sudden somebody's getting off their horse and doing crunches at the other end because they've made a mistake, even if I didn't see it.
I might as well. I might as
Yeah,
well. But that makes perfect sense to me
yeah,
because then you develop an association with it,
right,
right? Right?
right,
Because otherwise you literally black out. Like you're not paying
right.
attention. So I like that, the association.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah.
Thank you. With so many young equestrian, hello, I'm a little tongue-tied. With so many young equestrians looking up to you as a mentor, what are the most common misconceptions riders have about progressing in their riding careers?
Mm. Most common is that it's easy, right? And that you don't have to put in the time and the effort and the sweat, and that it'll just happen for you. And I've kind of seen in my career coaching, the last maybe 5 years that I was coaching, I just saw a difference in the overall feeling where I guess students were entitled or felt they should be handed this stuff. And anything in life, it where I am today is hard work. Every single, my first job out of college, I was stable manager at Centenary College in New Jersey. I worked 16 hours days, 6 days a week. And that's just what I did. You just have to put in the time and effort and elbow grease and sweat equity to make it all happen. It's not just gonna happen.
Amen. And that's what makes you a great horseman. You can make, I think, really great equestrians, but I think a great horseman has a lot more to it, right? I mean, you've
Yeah.
you've gotten in there. You've been cleaning the stalls and nursing the wounds and,
Yep.
from the ground up. And boy, do I get that. As someone I mentioned in our pre chat, I was assigned artist. That didn't happen overnight. I played for so many venues that were almost empty, but when I played, I gave it my all. And I
Right.
showed management and I showed the record label that I was willing to give it my all, that I wasn't going to complain, that I was willing to get on that tour bus and, drive for days and do
Sure.
4 shows in a weekend, right?
Yeah.
It is the school of hard knocks, but it is what sculpts you into being the mentor that Sally is now, that we look up
Mm-hmm.
to, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
And I remember decades ago when I would have, I never on your level, trust me, but I had kids that would come to the barn and take lessons, and I would tell their parents, you're dropping them off for the day, okay? They're not coming here to just ride.
Right.
That's not how I do things around here, right?
Right.
And their parents would come back to me. A lot of the kids that first showed up had confidence issues, were getting bullied at school and that. And then like weeks into it, they'd come to me and say, "I cannot believe the change in my daughter or my son and how they interact with their peers now and how much
Oh,
better
that's
they're
great.
doing at school."
Yeah.
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 Thank you for that.
Yeah.
Oh. So, equestrian sports requires both strong coaching and self-discipline. How do you balance encouraging riders to push themselves while also keeping the sport enjoyable and fulfilling?
And isn't that the big question that has been coming up with this day and age of cell phones, right?
Mm.
Where we are seeing coaching sessions or instructor sessions or clinics with uh, coaches or instructors or trainers that are coming to light who have always been kind of that tough love instructor. But there's a fine line, right? There's a fine line between holding their feet to the fire and making them do the work and showing them how to get it done and borderline verbally abusive,
Mm.
right? So there is no place in any sport and in our sport for verbal abuse. And as coaches, we need to be careful how, we need to realize what our words are saying to these young children because we are the leaders and we need to be the mature ones who are um, setting a good example and hopefully helping mold them into future uh, great leaders and riders, and also we're showing the humane side of it, right? We're showing how we need to treat our animals and that they are not machines,
Mm.
and how we need to treat our parents. One of my favorite interviews was Larry at Oklahoma State. He said when he'd go to recruit riders at the big, quarter horse congress, he wouldn't just watch the classes. He said, I'd be out there at 4 a.m. watching the schooling session. He said, I'd be watching how they treat their horse, how they treat their trainer, and how they treat their parents.
Yes.
I know, and I love that because he said we don't want a prima donna who's going to come in and whose world has been handed to her. He said we want by the time they're 18, not fully formed humans, but we want them to have a good base in order to carry on and hopefully help lead their team.
I like that. Your experience as an author, clinician, and podcast host, amongst many other things, gives you a broad perspective on the equestrian world. What's one thing you think more writers should focus on that's often overlooked?
It has to be fitness, right? People that don't know horses say to me, "Well, how hard is it to ride a horse?" Like, and I always would say, "You come to my practice and look at the sweat pouring off of them when they have to do my exercise program, which I'll elaborate on in a minute. And my team had to do it with their stirrups crossed, right? So 2 point position with no
Love it.
stirrups. Yeah. And even just the not even the outside of the exercise, just the mental power that it takes to fire the muscles in order to ride the horse. And you need to be physically fit yourself in order to help your horse. So that instead of two beings, which, for example, when a rider doesn't know how to sit the trot, right? That
Ah.
it's two separate beings, and that horse's back is suffering. Now, everybody has to learn the sitting trot. So I'm not saying that first-time beginners should know how to do the sitting trot. It's kind of a lifelong quest, right?
Sure.
So, so I developed this exercise program. So this is my latest book, and it is basically like mounted aerobics. So my riders were working out in the varsity gym. They were doing a yoga and mobility class, but they weren't really having muscle and an area of the body specific exercises on the horse. So I developed this years ago, but the book just came out last year, and I'm so excited. It's been a long time coming. It's great, not just for these super fit college riders, but it's good for the young rider. It's good for the older amateur rider, so that you can have a workout not only for yourself, but while you're on your horse, right? And as we age, they talk about low impact sports. How about no impact, right? Your feet are up off the ground. And these exercises, they're very easy to learn, but they're hard. They, at the end of a session, I always say you can modify it. It's almost all of it's done at the trot, but I say you can modify it by walking or even halting. So usually by the end, everybody's in the middle.
Ow.
Because, yeah, we're just not used to moving our body this way on the horseback. And so even the arm exercises, right? So you can either do them in the posting trot or put yourself into the 2 point and have to do them all at the 2 point to do the arm exercises. So and basically any horse can do it. And there are QR codes throughout the book that take you to videos
Perfect.
of the riders doing it. On my website, I have even a MP3 that you can download and listen to me taking you through the
While
exercises.
you're riding.
Yep,
I
yep,
love it.
yep.
Oh
And
my God.
I've developed a certified exercise coach course that's available on my website. And so I'm trying to certify because there's only one of me, right? So first I'm teaching everybody how to do exercise and what it is, but then I hope to have this army of instructors that can go
Yes.
out and
Yes.
also be teaching this. So I'm really
Absolutely.
excited.
This is
Yeah,
like foundation good stuff. In my other lifetime, again, back when I had all my littles that I was coaching and,
right,
and teaching, I never just put them on a horse and said, "Here's the reins and off you go." I first of all, I'm not allowing that to my beautiful horses that I love. You are not going to learn how to get a balanced seat by balancing on your hands, bouncing around, and
right,
all of that. So it was
right,
on a lunge line, stirrupless, 2 point at the walk, and then and then we progress. We progress into
right.
posting, stirrupless, and all of that. Why?
Sure.
Because I want you as a rider, if that horse spooks or God forbid bolts or whatever,
Yeah,
you're going to stay with it. You're going to have a mud and you're not going to torture that poor animal
right, right,
with unbalanced, bouncy rides. I mean, that to me, that's just horrific. So,
right.
oh my gosh, thank you. I might have to become one of those instructors
Yeah,
because
that'll be
I'm,
great.
oh my gosh, I'm such a firm believer in this. I
Yeah,
really am.
yeah.
Oh my goodness. Thank you for that. Oh, and this book. Now I have to get it. I've gone to your webpage and I've looked
Oh,
at it
great.
and I'm like,
Yeah.
not this week, Kimber, not this week.
Well, and I'll share too that if you use the code free, you get free shipping.
Oh, okay. Hang on. I'm writing more notes.
Yeah. Okay.
Oh, I love this. I'm so grateful that you've done this, Sally. Truly,
Yeah.
truly. This is something I'm very passionate about.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Take a breath, Kimber. You're getting excited. Looking ahead, what's next for you? Well, we do know you got that book. You're, yeah, yeah, yeah. I'm really excited.
Yes.
Are there any other upcoming projects, events? Oh, look, or books you're excited to share with the equestrian
Right.
community?
Right. Well, always any of the horse expos that you go to, keep your eye peeled, see if I'm going to be a presenter at that. I just hope to continue teaching clinics. I did miss all those years in the collegiate world. I taught clinics a little bit, but not as much as I do now. And so I love teaching all the different levels. I teach all levels, all ages. everywhere. I've taught in Alaska, Hawaii, I've taught in South Africa. Like I will travel. Um, so I'll could be continuing doing that. My novel really is kind of top of my mind right now because I've never written a novel. I've written nonfiction and I have not ever written fiction. So it's a bit of a mental gymnastics for me. It's a little bit
I'm sure.
of an exercise to really try to get this across to the reader and in a different way. It's kind of like I had my co-writer, Chris Kime. I would be, she would interview me kind of like this for each chapter, right? And so
Mhm.
I would be talking about all this, and then she'd say, Sally, you teach a lot with your hands. She said, describe it. And I'm like, Chris, you're making my brain work. I'd have to pretty much figure out how to do it in a different way. So that's what's happening with the fiction writing. And I've been toying with a book called The Parent's Guide to Your Horse Crazed Kid, so that's
Ooh.
in there. And we'll just see. I've partnered with Correct Connect. I use a lot of teaching tools that are in my Athletic Equestrian book, things like fingers closed balls, eyes up glasses. But I Correct Connect, if you've seen any of most riders have seen their social media, but they have basically, for the good of the horse, different tack and teaching tools. And they saw an excerpt from my book and they said, what's your pommel blocker? Because in my book, it's a little kid swim floaty tied to the D rings for riders that instead of folding correctly into their 2 point, jump up the pommel and open their angles, or for riders that post too high. So Correct
Wow.
Connect contacted me. They said, what is the pommel blocker and where do we get it? I said, it's a little kid swim floaty. So through them, they have developed the Sally Batton pommel blocker by Correct Connect.
I'm writing. I'm
And
doing more. I have to check all these.
yep, yep. They've done a recent big campaign for it. So right now they're sold out, but you can go to their site or my site and see what that's all about.
I
So
will.
there's always, the things outside of the box. I almost should keep a list of all the things that I do so that when I'm interviewed like this, but I don't normally brag about myself. So I,
Oh,
I I'm sure I'm forgetting a lot of the other things that I do.
I want you to brag about yourself because
Ah, thanks.
you have a lot to brag about. Trust
Yeah,
me. Oh my gosh. That was the thing. I was looking at on your website and I was so interested like in clinics, not necessarily hosting one because I don't have a facility like that.
right.
Although I could actually do one at Falls Creek. But also, is there a place on your website that lists? Because I know, like for a lot of clinics, you can go as an auditor in that.
Right.
Do you have like a listing? Because I on your website of clinics that
Yeah.
you're hosting or that you're
Yes,
doing?
I do
Okay,
have a clinic calendar. I'm glad you said that because right
okay.
after this I will update it. But and the thing is you have to keep checking back.
Mm-hmm.
There's a whole section. So if you go to athleticequestrian.com, you can
Mm-hmm.
click through to equisize.com, you can click through to Athletic Equestrian League, you can click through to Sally Batton Equestrian Clinics. You can click through to my shop and that's where you can find my calendar and
Okay.
see every place that I clinic at does offer uh auditing, so you can just
Wonderful.
look and see. Like right now I don't have a lot of clinics scheduled, but people will call me and say, can you come in 2 months or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
So also all my social media, I have Facebook and Instagram, uh Athletic Equestrian, Sally Batton Equestrian Clinics, Equisize, and Riding in College podcast.
Holy moly.
I know.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow, wow, wow. Do you know if you have any coming up in New England anytime?
I don't right at this moment. However, I'm sure that there should be something coming up, I would imagine.
Yay. I'm going to keep an eye on that calendar
Yeah.
every month so I can
Okay.
attend.
Yeah.
For riders and professionals who want to learn from you or be a part of the athletic equestrian movement, what's the best way for them to get involved?
Well, if you have your own barn, I suggest that you start an athletic equestrian team, uh, athletic equestrian league team. They are in New England, New York, Long Island, and Virginia. And so that's a way. You can also get at, either of my most recent books and start an exercise program in your barn or start it for yourself. Absolutely. You don't have to be riding at a barn. Um, so yeah, that's my have me come teach a clinic. I love it when trainers and coaches ride in my clinic because they're, I just as any instructor, you have a lot of topics or ways that I call myself a position technician. So ways that I form, biomechanically get you to be a better rider. And I love for the coaches to experience that too, so that I'm literally hands-on putting their leg into something I call the power leg. You'll have to get my books to find out what that is.
I will be.
And that sort of thing. So I guess that's the best way to do that.
Okay. And so hosting a clinic, do you prefer an indoor ring? You probably
Well,
would because of inclement weather.
yeah, it really doesn't matter. I mean, last June I was teaching a clinic in California in 100-degree weather, believe it or
Oh,
not. It wasn't quite that bad, 95 degrees, but their horses are used to it. But
yeah.
me, from being from New Hampshire, oh, I struggled. So, we don't have to have it. I've taught in the rain, in Alaska. An indoor is nice, but it's not a requirement.
Okay. Very good. I've got a couple of bonus questions if you're game.
Sure,
All
sure.
right. Sally, if you could go back in time and give your younger self one piece of advice about coaching or riding, what would that be?
Oh, my family will laugh when they hear this. Sally, just calm down. I'm a type A. I want to control everything. Just calm down. It'll all be okay. I mean, I like to say that those parts of me are led to my success in life professionally.
Hmm.
But I would say that I wouldn't change anything else. Like I have tried so many different disciplines. I was game for anything. I went fox chasing. I wrote a little Western, little side salad. I've kind of tried a lot of things. I wouldn't change any of that. And I think too, my coaching trajectory, I still have them. My riding journals when I was in seventh grade, and it says, um, because I thought I wanted to be a vet, and I write in it and I say, I think if I don't become a vet, I think I want to go into horses and horsemanship and teaching. Isn't that funny? Yeah. And
Pathetic.
here I
Way
am
on.
50 years later. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. I think you're just born with that, Sally. I really do. I think it's in you. You get a taste of it. You get inoculated, vaccinated by the equine
Right.
bug, right?
Right.
I mean, I grew up in this business. My father had a huge riding stable, and I had
Oh,
five siblings, and I'm the only one who stuck with it. My
oh
father
wow.
didn't. I'm the only
Wow.
one who stuck with it. And I think it just, there's some of us individuals that it's in your blood
Absolutely.
clear. It must be in your DNA as well. I don't know, but it's like
Yeah.
I can't I can't live without them.
Yes. Yeah. And
Excuse me.
people say that to me. Oh, you don't have any horses on your property? I said, no. For 40 years, I was responsible for them. And when I retired, I was like, no, I'm done with that. But I do get to see them and touch them and feel them and be a part of that still through my career.
Nice. Pardon my dog.
Oh, I didn't even hear.
Oh, you didn't hear her? She
Oh,
always has to have the last word. I think she
yes.
knows we're getting to the end of this interview. So I'm going to get
Yes.
you out on this last question.
Okay.
Thank you so much for being a guest. And again, people, you've seen that QR code floating around the screen. Just scan it and you're going to get all this fabulous information, ways to get the books, ways to contact Sally, and on and on and on. There's a wealth of information. Your website is so much fun to navigate, I might add. There's
Thank you.
so many great
There's a
pages
lot.
to invest. There is, but I love it. It's like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, it's all here. I love it.
Yeah.
So I'm
Yeah.
going to get you out on this last question. Who were your biggest influences in your equestrian journey, and what lessons did you learn from them?
That is a great one. I have two. I have one. I majored in equestrian studies at Lake Erie College. Kathy Nelson was one of my instructors there,
Mm.
and I always say if I ever talk about her through my podcast, if anybody knows where she's at now, let me know
Oh,
because she just uh, up to that point, I had been taught right? Told this is do this, do this, do this, do this. And she really taught me the whole picture and how to be a total horsewoman and brought in the horse and really she's just a great teacher and I probably can't even verbalize it, but she was one and then my other professional um, person I look up to, and I talk about this all the time, and especially in my books, CJ Law, who's the head coach at Mount Holyoke College in South Hadley, Massachusetts. And she's the first one that I saw using all these teaching tools. So I credit her for the way that she teaches. And once again, just like Kathy Nelson, she is a fantastic communicator and she just can draw out great things basically out of any rider. So that's what I've always aspired to be myself.
that's beautiful. What a beautiful tribute to these two amazing human beings.
And she's my friend and I admire her.
Oh,
So there's that
I
too.
love it. I
Yeah.
love it. CJ, if you're watching, there you go.
Oh, she will. I'll let her know.
Beautiful. Sally, thank you from the bottom of my heart for sharing with our viewers. I look forward to attending one of your clinics as an
Great.
auditor soon. I look forward to diving into some more book reading, and I look forward to a future interview with you on this novel that'll be out in a year. No pressure, none, no pressure.
Yeah, yeah.
And meeting up with you again. I look forward to that. Thank you so much for being a guest on the Backyard Horse Enthusiast. Have a great day. We'll talk soon.
Thank you for having me. I've really enjoyed it.
Thank you. Bye bye.